Hey everyone, how are you doing? It is Alfonso Moretti, aka the Angry Trainer, from, of course, as you know, angrytrainerfitness.com, where we spread fitness facts, not fiction. How y'all doing tonight? As you can see, my surroundings are a little bit different. Kind of in the middle of moving, so we've got a little bit of a different scenery going on here tonight. How is everybody? By the way, if you have any questions, make sure you shoot them to me in the chat there. I really want this to be a discussion and a debate with everybody here. So good evening to you. Of course, I want to thank Flitfluential. I would like to thank Sears, all my sponsors, and of course, all of you guys out there that keep supporting me. You guys you give me a reason to wake up in the morning. And of course, I have to thank Richard and Roger from Savannah Media. If you guys don't know who they are the guys behind the scenes that don't get a lot of the credit, but are very responsible for everything that's going on here. So, Shadow Warrior 58 says, hello, Angry Trainer. What's happening, Shadow Warrior 58? Hello, Richard. So here's what we're talking about tonight. Tonight we are talking about muscle. We all want muscle, right? I mean, who doesn't want muscle? Everybody wants muscle. We hear not only does muscle look good, of course, it can change the shape of the way our body looks by adding more muscle or in some cases actually taking it away. But we've heard so much about how much it increases our metabolism and burns calories and long term can keep weight off. In fact, you guys should know that long term, and this is the part that kills me with the two debates going on. What's better for long-term weight loss? Is it cardiovascular exercise or is it weight training? Weight training by far is better. And I'm going to tell you the two reasons why. One, people don't know that weight training is actually cardiovascular. I discussed this in one of my very first articles called Cardio Confusion. And basically, it was a call out from another site who had basically said that people need to do some type of cardiovascular exercise, and their version of cardiovascular exercise was aerobics, 4 to 5 times a week for 45 to 50 minutes, separate from weight training. That's ridiculous. Weight training is cardiovascular. And if you take a look at who has some of the most advanced and the best cardiovascular systems, you'll find that it's heavy strength training people who train with weights. So one, you do get a cardiovascular benefit from weight training. Two, you add muscle to your body. When you add muscle to your body, you jack up your calories. So it's a 1-2 punch. So it's a no-brainer. Of course, you should be doing aerobics. Shadow Warrior says he knew it. So again, make sure you shoot questions over to me. Richard says, how much do you train triceps and biceps, or are they already trained by other compound exercises? You know, I'm going to go back. This is such an exciting chat for me. We might have to do 2 of these chats. When I used to train for bodybuilding, you'd see a lot of guys that would train their biceps separately. I train, when I say separately, I mean more than once per week. I trained every muscle group on my body 1 time every 7 days. That was it. So I would have a specific bicep workout 1 time per week, a specific tricep workout 1 time per week. Same went for shoulders, same went for quads, although I did split up legs, so legs were quads more, predominantly quads one day, more hamstrings and glutes another day, and then like calves and abs. But the truth is that if you're working hard enough, if your workouts are intense enough, these guys who say that they're training chest 3 times a week, that's ridiculous. For instance, I did chest yesterday, and I'm telling you right now, I can't even touch my chest. This is how painful it is. I tried doing a push-up in the gym. It's so sore, I can't even do it. If you train correctly, there's no way you're training body parts 2, 3, 4 times a week. There's no way. And it is true that, of course, during any pulling exercise, during any pushing exercise, your triceps are getting hammered, your biceps are getting hammered, and your shoulders, tons of shoulder work. So you really don't even necessarily need a complete shoulder workout. So in my opinion, yes, to answer your question, let me give you the short version. Yes, they are definitely trained by other compound exercises, but you should do some other exercise. Now, of course, I want to keep it in perspective here. This chat is about sort of bodybuilding weight training. There's plenty of people out there who have never done a bicep curl. I mean, if you look at people, if you were to do nothing but do squats, dips, and pull-ups, your biceps would be jacked, your legs would be enormous. I mean, your entire body would be developed because, pull-ups and those types of exercises are, of course, going to work the biceps, they're going to work the forearms, and they're going to teach everything to work together. But most people go to the gym because they want to change their genetics. Maybe they have genetically big biceps, but their triceps are weak. So you would do extra. It's very interesting. Arnold Schwarzenegger said that he used to look at himself like a sculptor would with clay. And when a sculptor is trying to make something, they add a little bit more clay. They take away a little bit clay here and there until they get the proportions that they want. That's how Arnold trained his body. He trained his body in ways in which if his shoulders were too small, he would train them harder. He would back off on the areas, and that's how he created the perfect physique. Richard says most bicep movements seem to train the muscle, though aren't dumbbell curls and concentration curls doing the same thing. It all depends on the position of your hand, and this is interesting. And of course, I knew this, as you guys can all see. This was the torn bicep, and you can see here if I rotate my wrist over, see how the bicep lengthens down. And then as you turn your palm up, that's called pronation and supination. So when you do this, pronation and supination, that is actually the function of your bicep. Your bicep's primary function is actually not to curl your arm under load. The primary function is like turning a screwdriver where you're torquing and you're twisting. That's how your bicep works. So depending on the position of your palm, your fist, it's going to change the way you target these muscles here on your arm. In other words, if you go a full underhanded bicep curl, you're pretty much going to train both biceps heads. The reason why it's called the biceps is because it's two. So this isn't a bicep and that's a bicep, and together they're biceps. This is a biceps and this is a biceps. If you look, sorry, I'm going to show off a little bit. You can see the split right down the middle. See that split right down the middle? This is your outer head of the bicep. This is your inner head of the bicep. And they both function a little bit differently. If you do an underhanded bicep curl, you're pretty much going to pull on them both the same. If you went into a hammer grip is going to go a little bit more recruitment of the outer head, plus this muscle over here that's called the bicep brachii, which is kind of like a golf ball that pops out on the other outside of your arm. So depending on the position of your wrists in the curls, you can change what part of the bicep you're targeting most, as well as whether or not you're going to use some of your forearm flexors and extensors. So concentration curls are a little bit different than hammer curls. Hammer curls are a little bit different than overhanded curls. Overhanded curls are a little bit different than underhanded curls. The idea, at least the way I did it when I was a bodybuilder, is I would do 3 different hand positions. So 1 underhanded, 1 hammer curled, 1 overhanded, 3 sets of each till failure, and I was done. Jeff says, is DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness, an indicator of a good workout? He says that in his experience, he supplements with enough protein, glutamine, branched chain amino acids, and it lessens the DOMS. So what do I think? Jeff, I'm going to tell you truthfully, in my ridiculous bodybuilding days, I used to have a little pill case. I can't even remember, I was telling somebody this story today, 24 different pills, cinnamon powder for my insulin, vanadyl sulfate for insulin, chromium, you name it, it was in there, all over the counter stuff, and I still got ridiculous delayed onset muscle soreness. Delayed onset muscle soreness, for all of you who doesn't know what that is basically your muscles get more sore as days go on. It normally peaks in the 2nd or the 3rd day. And when you work out, people don't understand that this is kind of like trauma. Exercise is trauma to your body. When you lift weights, you're actually causing micro tears, micro trauma in the actual muscle cell. And every time the muscle heals itself, it heals itself a little bit bigger than it was before. It's kind of like digging a hole in your backyard. And then when you go to fill the dirt back in, you kind of have this, like, it's not flat like it was, it's a little bit more. Well, that's the way your muscles are. And the theory is that every time you do that, they grow and they grow and they grow. Of course, we have limits. They're not really sure why delayed onset muscle soreness occurs. There's lots of different theories. Leakage of the muscle cell that peaks after 3 days, creating the most amount of soreness. I don't think it's a good indicator of a workout. There are some people who come to me and say, I want you to make me sore. Soreness is not an indicator of a good workout. In other words, if you're keeping track, Jeff, of your workout, let's say last week you benched 225 for 10, and you were extremely sore, but then you went to the gym the next week and you got 225 for 11. You got one more rep, which means you're stronger, but you weren't as sore the next day. Well, which is a better workout? I'm going to go with the workout that's an improvement. And that's where we go back to the planning and strategizing for your workouts and planning to progress. So, no, I don't think that soreness is an indicator of a workout. Hey, Deb, how you doing tonight? Deb says that the weak link to most of her lifting sessions are painful wrists. So what do I suggest to get the tendons, ligaments more used to lifting? Wrist wraps, meds. You know, Deb, I've heard this a million times before, and usually, in my experience, it's gone away. I've had a lot of people, especially because, you know, as you know on the site, I promote a lot of functional training. So we're doing a lot of T-squares. We're doing a lot of planks on the hands. And people who aren't especially used to that, you know, just that pressure on the wrist here, you know, pushing down, it can create some soreness in the wrist, but it generally goes away. If you have it in both sides, you know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is. You know, it should be going away. I wouldn't use wrist wraps. Wrist wraps, in my opinion, will actually make it weaker. Meds, I would never suggest meds for sore wrists. I don't know if you've tried any type of forearm exercises. I don't know if you've tried, you know, like the wrist raveler, or, you know, curls or forearm extensors, or if you've, you know, if you're doing push-ups, you do them off your knuckles instead of bending your wrist back. It might just be something you have to deal with. You said it's been 4 years and it hasn't gone away yet. Hello, Carla. Nice to see you tonight. So, Deb, you know, I don't really know. You know, if it's a painful wrist, I don't know if you've been checked. I mean, I hate to say it, and please don't be, you know, don't be upset with me, but it could potentially be a little bit of arthritis. It could be tendonitis. It could be a lot of things. I mean, if it's that consistent and chronic, and it hasn't gone away in 4 years, and it's actually hindering you in your weight training sessions, then I'm going to have to recommend that you get it checked out and see what the real deal is with it. Carla, for all of you who don't know, Carla has been following me. She follows me on Facebook, and she thought that she had fractured her wrist. So she's all just letting us know that it is not a fractured wrist. So Carla, congratulations. I'm very happy for you. That's great. Deb says she's 60 and she knows it's likely arthritis. So there you go, Deb. So again, I'm not going to prescribe meds for anybody or suggest it, but you know, a little bit of ice, maybe a little bit of heat. I don't know if you've tried massage. Maybe if you know you're going to the gym and it's gonna, you know, it's gonna aggravate you, perhaps you can try some Aleve or some Advil. So you know, that would be my suggestion. Rich says, can you perform front squats and squats in the same session? You absolutely can. Front squats and squats are actually two very different types of squats. The back squat, when you put the bar on your back, if you look at, you know, you want to look at the human body like from a side and look at where the weight is. So when you squat, you're trying to get the weight over your hips. The problem with people who don't know how to squat, or the people who use the pad, is they put the pad all the way up on their neck. Now, if you put the pad all the way up on your neck, the bar's all the way up on your neck, on your cervical spine, which means that as you go to squat forward, inevitably you're going to lean forward a little bit. I mean, you can't not lean forward. You have to with a back squat. But now the weight is farther forward from the hip joint. I don't know if you guys can envision this. So now the weight is pulling you forward. The beauty of the front squat is that the front squat actually, it moves the bar. I mean, if you think about it, the thickness of your entire body, it moves the bar about 5 to 6 inches farther in front of you. So now you hold the bar. There's lots of different ways to do it. You can go here, or you can go under the bar this way. The bar will now ride across your upper chest. And what that does is that allows you to sit almost perfectly straight up and down. And it's a very different feeling exercise. The problem with it is that most people can't hold the bar across their shoulders. You need to start out with very, very lightweight and work your way up. It's a great exercise. I did it for years. I used to start with front squats, go to back squats, and vice versa, and leg press. You can absolutely do the two of them in the same session. Miss Transformation says she did both types of squats tonight. Awesome. Yeah, there's so many different ways to do squats. You can actually even take a set of dumbbells, take the dumbbells and flip them like this so that the dumbbell is now resting on your shoulder. The handles would be here, this position, okay, and you'd be holding them here, and you can do squats this way, up and down. It's really, really terrific. So absolutely. I would have to say that probably for most of you, since, you know, Richard's bringing up squats, legs are the biggest pet peeve of mine. I was just in the gym tonight, and it's just comical. I see these guys walking around, and this is just something you don't see in women, because women genetically have bigger legs. It's just the way they're built.
but I saw this guy in the gym and he had these monster shoulders, monster biceps, and he was wearing sweatpants, and I swear his legs, I swear they weren't as big as his arms. I'm not even kidding. I mean, it's just ridiculous to me. You know, we always used to say, you know, it separates the men from the boys. I mean, my legs are not big by any stretch of the imagination, but if you guys could see what my legs were when I started, you'd appreciate it. I was fortunate enough that in my first job, my fitness manager was a power lifter and a bodybuilder, and he showed me the correct way to squat. And of course, you know, I became a knucklehead and, you know, was doing thousands of pounds of leg presses and everything. But you have to train your whole body. You got to train them effectively. I mean, legs, you know, this is your foundation. You know, I mean, I hate to sound kind of cheesy, but the truth is, you know, you wouldn't build a big, beautiful house made out of, you know, brick and mortar and granite and put it up on these little toothpicks. You know, that's what's supporting it. You know, that's your base. That's your base of strength. And the truth is, and this is interesting, and you should all know this, and this is proven. If you don't train your legs, your upper body will never reach its full potential. And the reason for it is that if you train your legs intensely enough, there's a whole series of hormonal issues that happen. You get growth hormone release, testosterone release, and it actually makes your whole body grow. So train your legs, your upper body will get bigger. Jeff says his split is usually day 1 chest, day 2 is back, day 3 is shoulders, day 4 is legs, day 5 is rest, then repeat. What's my opinion on this split? I think the split is great. What I used to do is day 1 was chest and biceps. My day 2, I would never train upper body 2 days in a row because no matter what, it would still be tired. So my day 1 was chest and biceps. My day 2 was legs, predominantly pushing and squatting exercises for the quads. And then I would take a day off because I'd just be so shot after legs, I'd take a day off. Day 4, because day 3 was rest, would be back in triceps. Day 5 could be a little bit of shoulders, and then day 6, of course, now this was bodybuilder, so I was doing 6 days a week. That was my deadlift day, my hamstring day, and my calves day. And then day 7 was rest. Sometimes I wouldn't train shoulders at all. Sometimes I would put shoulders in the workout with deadlifts, because don't forget now, when you're deadlifting, you have to hold on to a tremendous amount of weight. So there's a lot of shoulders involved, a lot of traps involved. So sometimes I would do shoulders right along with deadlifts. So I think it's a great split, but I'm going to tell you this, Jeff. If that's the split that you're usually doing, you need to change it. Your body's used to it already. Switch the order, change it up, do something different. Carla says, not really. Some girls need to work out so much. What about pistols? Pistols are fantastic exercises. For those of you who don't know, some people call them pistols, some people call them shotguns. Extremely difficult exercise to do. Most people can't do it. That is basically where you are standing. You lift one leg up off the ground, and you basically do a one-legged squat, but all the way down to the ground to where your butt cheek is literally touching the leg's heel that's down on the ground, and then you stand back up again. Very, very difficult exercise. It requires a ton of glute and hamstring strength. Most people can't do it. Great exercise for sure. Raj says he started the TRX, but he wonders if it will give him bigger arms compared to dumbbell exercises. I never feel like they were worked very effectively. Well, the truth is that the TRX will work your arms. You can actually do, not just with the TRX, but any suspension training system, Roger. There's actually very, very good bicep curls that you can do on a suspension training system. If you're doing a suspension training exercise and it doesn't feel like the difficulty is right, or you're not feeling it, it's just a matter of body mechanics. With a suspension training system, you want to hang backwards off of it. You want to kick your feet underneath. And the important thing is for your arm to be straight out, the same way it would be with a bicep curl, and you're going to curl yourself up. What most people do on suspension training systems when they train their biceps, and why they don't feel it very much, is that as they start to pull in, they drop their elbows down. They're basically cheating. So to take a lot of it out, what you want to do is you want to hold your arm up and then pretend that it's resting on something. Now the suspension handle is in your hand. You're going to pull. Now what you want to do is use your biceps and pull yourself all the way up, and then you want to lower yourself all the way back down without dropping your elbows down. It can be very, very, very effective. Very effective. So try it out again. It should work for you. Mick says he's been reading some articles and he was wondering about how come bloating helps a weightlifter lift more. I read of bodybuilders who would gorge themselves days before competition in order to lift more. Well, I'm not sure. Okay, well, first of all, this is not bodybuilders. Bodybuilders don't before a competition. You must be talking about weight trainers. I'm not sure if you're talking about carbohydrate loading.
Now there is some stuff. There are some facts about overeating, eliciting like hormone responses. There's some anabolic diets. There's undereating and overeating, and when you overeat, you can release some testosterone. But I believe what you're talking about is carb loading. Carb loading can be done by bodybuilders and by weightlifters. And obviously for the weightlifters, it's to increase their strength. For the bodybuilders, it's to fill out their muscle. And basically what you have to do is before you load, you actually deplete. It's such an unhealthy practice, I have to be completely honest with you. It was the most miserable part of competing for me. Basically, bodybuilders and weight trainers will manipulate their water. And what they do is they take, you basically take everything out of you deplete everything. And when you deplete, your body is ready to soak up everything. Okay, so what happens is you deplete yourself of carbohydrates, you deplete yourself of sodium, and then when you go to load, it just all gets sucked right back up all over again, and you supersaturate. So for a bodybuilder, you can basically fill yourself up with extra sugar, extra carbohydrates, extra water. For weightlifting purposes, obviously, if you think about a sponge and you were to wring out a sponge and make it completely dry, and then all of a sudden, you would have this fill it back up again, the sponge will supersaturate, and then you will be stronger. So I think that's what you're talking about. Which do I prefer, free weights or machines? Oh, Nova Nut 65. Boy, have you hit a nerve here. Free weights by far. The only people that I believe should be using any type of machines would be bodybuilders, and that would be to specifically hypertrophy a muscle tissue. That would be the only reason that you would need to use a machine. I always say that when it comes to the way they set you up in a gym, they do it, it's all backwards. What they really should be doing is they should be having you learn how to do things on free weights, not on machines. Machines are on a guided path back and forth for you. You don't have to control it. You don't have to do anything. That's the problem when it comes to machines. So, I wouldn't, I always say your body is the machine. Your body is, you don't need to sit on a piece of equipment. So that would be absolutely, I'm totally not into using that type of any machines at all. Although on occasion I will. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I do. So listen, shoot me some more questions, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about rep ranges. And also something that a person that I think that you should follow, great strength coach, Charles Poliquin, Poliquin Principles, great book I read years ago. Dr. Jim Stepani from Muscle and Fitness. He's got some great stuff. You should really check out. You should really check out their stuff. Let's talk a little bit about rep ranges. Let's talk a little bit about work sets, because I think this is important, and this is something that I got early on that worked for me. I would do 12 work sets. When I say work sets, I mean till failure. I don't mean I stopped at 12 or I stopped at 15 because I was doing sets of 12 or 15. So let's say I'm training chest and I'm going to start with dumbbell bench press. This is how I used to do it, okay? Dumbbell bench press. Now, obviously, I know myself. Let's say I would know that I'm going to end up at, let's just say, 110-pound dumbbells. Okay, that's where I'm going to end up at. My sets leading up to 110-pound dumbbells are lighter, and they're not 12 and 15 reps. They're like 5 to 8 reps. They're just to get my body acclimated to the motion, to get the nerves used to firing off, to get the muscles firing off. I don't really want to tire myself out doing 70 pounds for 15 reps before I get to what I consider my first working set or my working weight, which is 110 pounds. So basically I would incrementally work my way up, 5 reps, 8 reps, even sometimes 2 reps, especially when I got up into the higher weights. There was a time where I was lifting ridiculous weight, and maybe the set before my heavier one, maybe I would do 120-pound dumbbells for 1 rep before I went to the 140s. I know, ridiculous. I'll never do that again. But the point is once I got to my working weight, okay, I would pick up, let's use the 110-pound analogy again. Okay, so you take 110 pounds. I would do as many reps as I could possibly do with that 110 pounds. Now, if I got 6, if I got 8, if I got 10, those were all pretty good numbers, especially if I got 10. If I got 10, I wouldn't drop the weight. I would see if I could get 8 on the next set. If I got anything less than 8 or 6, then I would drop it by 10 or 15% on the next set. So I would go from 110 pounds, then I would go down to about 100, maybe 95. Working set, 95 pounds times as many as I could do with good form till failure. Then I would wait, I don't know, a minute, 90 seconds. Of course, this is weight training now. I would drop it again, 10 to 15% of total. Maybe I would go down to 75 pounds or 80 pounds till failure. 3 working sets till complete failure of one movement, move on to another chest exercise. Might be incline barbell presses, might be incline Smith presses, maybe incline dumbbell presses. Same principle again, although I wouldn't do as many warm-ups. But when I get to my working sets are working sets. They're not, oh, I'm going to do, let me do these for 15, put them down 15. You get out what you put into this, and you need to structure it where you're challenging your body and you're asking it to get better. So think of these as work sets. The most work sets I ever did was 12 work sets, and that was it. What's my opinion on supersets? I love supersets. Supersets are great, but I have to be honest with you in that supersets are great as a stimulus. If you're talking about supersets of opposing muscle groups, you know, biceps with triceps or chest with back, you know, it depends on what your goal is here. If your goal is to maximally increase your chest press, your barbell press and all that, I don't believe in doing anything in between. And again, this is bodybuilder straight up weight training. This isn't, you know, for fitness. This isn't for, you know, overall health and wellness. This is strictly because, you know what, you want a big chest, you want a big bench. You know what, you bench and you're done. You don't do anything else. That energy that you're spending training another muscle is energy that you could be spending on your bench. So of course, you have to weigh the benefits, and supersets are great, you know, in between. You should always be varying your training. So they're great at you know, used in different parts of your program. What exercise do most people perform with bad form, and why? Oh man, you know what? I would have to say they perform every exercise with bad form, commonly, and it's interesting that you said that because you know, I was just in the gym, as I always am, and I was looking around, and I swear it's so interesting that you asked that question because you know, I looked around and I said to myself, how many of these people, I'm going to tell you how I know this, and I got myself sidetracked a little bit here. It's rare for me to look around the gym and see somebody that's doing things the right way. It's rare for me to see somebody squat the right way, deadlift the right way, do side laterals the right way, do bicep curls the right way. Everybody basically cheats. They swing, you know, on everything. They do dumbbell rows incorrectly. They do dumbbell pullovers incorrectly. They can't do one tricep press down to save their life. Their biceps become more of a front shoulder exercise rather than a bicep exercise. So truthfully, I see more people doing more exercises wrong. Squats, without a doubt, are probably number one for sure. Jeff wants to know, have I ever incorporated German volume training? I did do German volume training. You said it got boring after 3 weeks. Jeff, let me ask you, did you seriously do real German volume training? Because real German volume training is brutally, brutally hard to the point where, like, you throw up. I didn't get bored of it. I got tired of busting my butt, and the intensity just became too high for me. But I'm going back years. I do it. German volume training is fantastic. For those of you who don't know, at least the German volume training that I know of is 10 sets of 10 with very little rest in between, and you just bust out the sets. I think that's what you're talking about, Jeff. I did that back in the Muscle Media days with Bill Phillips and Sean Phillips. Deb says that squats and deadlifts are the worst she sees, and lately really odd clean and presses. Yeah, any of the Olympic lifts, very, very difficult to find people doing them the right way. And, you know, there's just a lot of bad teachers. Mick says, have I ever tried the gallon of milk diet with weight training? No, I'm actually anti-milk. I'm not really big on milk, and I wasn't until I wrote a post for the site called Tasted or Wasted Milk, and I started doing some research. So I don't have that much dairy in my diet anymore, but I definitely never drank a gallon of milk. So I'm going to give you guys like another 2 minutes, obviously, because we had technical difficulties. So shoot me over some questions. At the end of the day, the same thing. Yes, even raw milk, and I'm going to tell you why. Milk is for cows. Milk is not for human beings. I hate to use that. I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing it, but can you tell me any other animal or any other mammal on the planet that drinks another's milk other than human beings? I don't see any other animal on the planet doing it. Um, so here's the thing that I want to stress to you is that when you go into the gym, if you're looking to make serious progress in the gym, you need to have a plan. You need to know what you're doing, and you need to those work sets that I told you about. You need to have those work sets. So I was telling you before that my chest is sore. Yesterday I did a traditional, just straight up. My lower back's been bothering me a little bit, so I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do any functional training today. No twisting, no medicine ball stuff, no jumping. I'm just going to go in. I'm going to do a straight weight training, bodybuilding chest workout. And basically, what I just explained to you before is what I did. I did 3 sets of flat bench press. I did 3 sets of dumbbell pullovers. I did 3 sets of cable flies, and I did 3 sets of dips, all till failure. And my chest is crushed, wrecked, so sore, all the way from the inside, all the way to the outside. Just an incredible, incredible workout. So you have to make sure that you work hard. You have to make sure that you plan it, you know what you're doing, and that you know where you've been. You've got to know what you were lifting in order to know what you're going to try to lift. Anytime that you kind of like try to wing it, it's never really going to work out in your favor. All right, so last minute here, real quick, I want to tell you guys we are filming more video tomorrow, so we're going to have a bunch of new Angry Trainer workouts coming your way. I made them a little bit harder because you guys even said that my ass kicker workout was a little bit too easy. And we've got some really exciting announcements coming up in like the next week or so. Angry Trainer Fitness is doing great. It's thanks to all of you. We hit 3,000 people on Facebook today. We're doing fantastic. I, of course, appreciate all your support. Novanut65 says, do I think it's really feasible to cut and bulk at the same time? You know, I gotta tell you, man, that whole cutting and bulking thing is a bunch of crap. I never bulked. One of the things that was very known about me, people who have known me, is I never really bulked. I was in shape year round. I always looked like I was in shape. You know, you can't, that whole you need to bulk up and chisel away in order to build the muscle, that's not true. It's just an excuse for people to get fat and to overeat. And truthfully, it's a pain in the ass. Every time you gain weight to try to cut down and get leaner, you know what? If you can't add quality lean muscle mass without getting fat, then don't add it at all. That's bull. I don't believe in the bulking and cutting. You know, that's something that pro bodybuilders do because they're changing the amount of drugs that they're taking to get as big as they're getting, and they can't. It changes the way their body looks. It's ridiculous. Eat quality food, lean foods, healthy foods. You won't put on fat. You'll supply your body with the right nutrients in order to grow muscle tissue if you train the appropriate way. I don't believe in the bulking and cutting. I think it's stupid. Sorry. That's my opinion. All right, so look, it is 9:35. Again, I apologize about the, you're very welcome, Novanet. I hope that answers your question. I hope everybody, again, I apologize for, I have no idea what happened with our little intermittent problem here. If you have any more questions, maybe we'll do another chat. Maybe what I'll do is actually have you guys submit some questions beforehand. And then we can go over them. So anyway, I am, of course, Alfonso Moretti, Angry Trainer. Please log on. Check me out on Facebook, on Twitter. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe. Thank you all for your support. I really, truly appreciate it. We're doing fantastic. Last question. I'm going to take it from Carla. Carla says that she has lost 8 pounds. She needs to get back to her normal 1010. What can she do? Double her intake? No, do not double your intake. That is way too much. Carla, just start with a couple of extra 100 calories here and there and see if you can gain some weight. A little bit of extra healthy fats, a little bit of extra protein might do it for you. Definitely do not double your intake. That's way too much. You'll end up getting fat. A couple of 100 calories, maybe 100 to start per day, then 200, and monitor it. So I hope that helps. Thank you, everyone. So remember, till next time, be well. And what am I going to say? Stay angry. Good night, everybody.